Welcome back. House Speaker Mike Johnson still says he's shooting for the budget reconciliation to be on track to pass by Memorial Day weekend. The House Ways and Means, Agriculture and Energy committees were supposed to have markups this week. They moved the markups from this week to next week. Johnson reportedly met with moderate House Republicans yesterday to talk about potential cuts to Medicaid, the fat around the muscle, he says. CMS Director Dr. Mehmet Oz joined me yesterday on this program, detailing what he's expecting. And he said there is a lot of fraud within the agency to cut.
There's a lot of systemic waste. There's about $1 billion at least, and we believe potentially even up to $10 billion of people who are on Medicaid in more than one state. Now, why would that happen? If you're a Medicaid patient in California and you move to Nevada, who does the federal government compensate? It turns out both. Why? Because it's incentivized for both governors not to tell us. So as we discover these cracks in the current system, we shut down those areas of waste. Here in California, it turns out that they will sometimes pay for undocumented individuals to have Medicaid coverage. Should a taxpayer in Virginia pay for that? There's also problems with, for example, brokers in the Affordable Care Act giving insurance to people who don't know it. It's like double secret probation insurance. Almost 250,000 people last year experienced that. Those are the problems that I intend to fix.
Joining us right now is Texas Congressman August Pfluger. He's the chairman of the Republican Study Committee and a member of the House Energy Committee. Congressman, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. What did you make of what you just heard from Mehmet Oz on Medicaid and fraud that exists there? What is the conversation right now with regard to cuts?
Well, it's great to be with you, Maria, and we are on track. We are on time. And Dr. Oz is exactly right. You know, one thing that we can all get behind, and this isn't just a Republican issue, but we should have work requirements. You know, to receive these federal benefits, you should be able to go to work for 20 hours a week. That's something that I believe every single Republican could get behind, should get behind, that we can make this program better for those who need the benefits, for those that actually the program was designed for.
Right.
And it's much more than just Medicaid. I mean, it's what we're talking about, a big, beautiful bill that will be the legacy of President Trump, that will be the most important bill that we will pass in decades and will set us apart from what Democrats have done for multiple administrations and get this country back on track to hit the reset button. So we're crafting this bill, we're on track, and we're going to get it done.
Is it becoming more complicated because the White House wants to see a 15% rate for domestic manufacturers and pass-throughs? There's also a conversation about this no tax on tips, overtime, and Social Security having a 4-year lifespan. Where are you on that?
Well, of course, it's hard. It's difficult. These are hard conversations, and this is what our founders intended. They wanted us to have these debates, to have these dialogues. But let me take everybody back to November 5th when we're watching those returns come in and the excitement to have President Trump get us out of a system in the world that has used everything against us that wasn't fair to us, to get us out of a bloated system here domestically. So, yes, all of these are important conversations. They're happening on the committee level. But Speaker Johnson is committed to doing something that we've never done before, and that is garnering savings to end Washington's reckless addiction to spending that will finally get us back into fiscal health. And your panelist just before me said that. We have got to get to the point where we reduce the fraud, waste, and abuse in government, and we get back to fiscal health.
Absolutely. But I guess you can only afford to lose 3 votes. So do you feel you have the votes to pass this out of the House?
We are working on crafting a bill that we will have the votes on. And again, I go back to things like work reforms. Every Republican should get behind work reforms in Medicaid to cut the fraud, waste, and abuse, and to preserve a program that beneficiaries really need.
You would think. Luke Bull, jump in here.
Hey, Congressman, when I was on the Hill, it was pretty much set that if you were explaining the message, then you're not winning the message. So my question to you is, as the Democrats argue that Republicans want to cut Medicaid and Social Security, and they're pulling away at some of the folks that need this money, what is the Republican Study Committee, and what is the Republicans' message to those folks that say you are trying to cut Medicaid and Social Security?
Well, it's a lie that Social Security is involved in this. And with regards to Medicaid, we're preserving the program. We're protecting it. We're making sure that it's sustainable for the future. And the Republican Study Committee is committed to making sure that we garner savings. This is the one chance. We know Democrats will never tackle the $37 trillion in debt that the United States has. So the Republican Study Committee is the force that pushes our leadership that pushes our country towards conservative policy, which is getting back to fiscal health. President Trump is reordering a system that needed reordering. Everybody can take a deep breath. We're going to get this done. And it is going to end up with an economy that is stronger than we have ever seen.
Jump in here.
Congressman, I have a question. So we have worked extremely hard to get a Republican majority today, right? We have a trifecta. Why are there Republican holdouts, and what are we going to do to make sure that we have a bill passed? Because at the end of the day, President Trump is working overtime through executive orders. None of this is going to be possible ensuring the American dream and prosperity until we have these laws passed, until we have an immigration bill that is securing our border, tax, and so much more. What are we doing with these Republican holdouts, and how do we get everybody on board?
Well, I give a lot of credit to Mike Johnson for, really bringing people together. But you're right. We have to codify this. We have to put it in statute. We have to extend the tax cuts and give the American public the predictability that they know they can plan for their businesses and their households. But I think when we're talking about holdouts, everybody represents a different district, but we all have common themes. We want to save money. We want to get rid of fraud, waste, and abuse.
Right.
We want to see our economy grow stronger. And I think at the end of the day, this is the hard business of crafting the bill that on November 5th, when we're watching those returns, we were excited about this moment. Doesn't mean it's easy, but I have full confidence that we're going to get this done.
Let's talk about your part of the world. And, of course, you represent arguably the best opportunity for energy capacity in the Permian Basin and in and around Texas. The Republican Study Committee is going to be meeting with Interior Secretary Doug Burgum on Capitol Hill. What do you want to see from the administration? What about the strategic reserve? Your bill wants to, fill up this SPR. Tell us how to do that.
Well, we are excited as the chairman of the Republican Study Committee to have Secretary Burgum come talk to us. He recently said that we're not in an energy transition. We're in an energy addition. He is right. We need every electron out there. We need to produce. When President Trump says drill, baby, drill, he's talking about cutting regulations. So we want to talk to the Interior Secretary about that. We also want to talk about this stability that producers in my part of the world need. And actually, $40 oil, it's at 59 this morning. The real sweet spot is 65 to 85. That allows for sub-3 gas. It allows for inflation to come down with that price of eggs. It allows for things to be stable for the future. So we're going to talk about that today. But more importantly, we're going to talk about refilling the SPR that Biden took from 650 million barrels and he squandered it for political reasons to 300 million barrels. We're going to refill that. We should be doing that, especially at $59 oil.
Sir, before you go, Congressman, I just want to get your take on what's taking place between India and Pakistan. You're on the Foreign Affairs Committee, and we've got breaking news that Pakistan's defense minister says the military is ready to refrain from further action if India halts its operations. Because India doing military strikes into Pakistan. What can you tell us?
Well, these are two countries that we definitely need good relationships with, and would urge a lot of caution, would urge them to de-escalate, because this is really important. We don't need regional conflicts popping up around the world, and this is an area that we desperately need stability in. So urging de-escalation, it's something we're going to continue to watch very closely.
All right, Congressman, we'll be watching your work on that. Thank you so much, Congressman August Pfluger on Capitol Hill. Quick break, and then my next guest is working to review spectrum sharing rules so the U.S. does not fall behind China on the airwaves. FCC Chairman Brendan Carr is here with more.